Alright, Shalom. Start first by giving all praises and glories unto Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahushai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahushai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahushai. Call hello, Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Greetings, salutations, and blessings unto the house of David, the elect, those that will get salvation in the times to come, and the destruction to come. Shalom. And that's kind of the point that I want to make in this video. The heat is getting turned up in the earth, whether it be demons and spirits popping around here, but as well as the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is being turned up also. It's intensifying. But just to know that even the men of the Lord, and those, the 1/3 and 144,000, even they will have to go through something serious, man. Nobody gets into the kingdom of heaven without a trial. I didn't even have this on the list, but let me try to write a little list to keep this video short as possible. Kind of hard to upload, but I'm gonna read this. It's just a good story to read, a good situation to read. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 7. I'm gonna start at verse 3. It said, "And said I, and I said, speak on my power." Talking to Ezra, was talking to the angel. Says, "Then said he unto me, the sea is set in a wide place, that it might be deep and great, but put the case, the entrance were narrow and like a river. Who then could go into the sea to look upon it and rule it, if he went not through the narrow? How could he come into the broad?" Right? And let me get that in the book of Matthew right quick. Matthew, I didn't even have this. This is how the Spirit works, man. Anyway, Matthew 7:13. It says, "Enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way." And in this Bible, it even says straight means narrow or more difficult. That's why that river, if you're ever navigating a boat in the ocean, you got all kinds of distance to move around. But in a river, you can only go so far, left to right. You have to be precise in the way you move down that river. It could be shallower on this side, it could be rocks on that side, it could be, whatever else danger set before you. But that's how this truth is. It's gonna get more narrow, more straight, more difficult, as we get closer on. But the difference is, as these pitfalls, as these situations pitfall, the 2/3, the men of the Lord will be navigated through that. Will be guided through those things. It says, "Enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction." Right? That's not what we want. That's not following the way of the Yahweh Shemashah. It says, "And many there be that go in thereat, because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few be there that find it." This ain't for everybody. There be few that find that narrow path, that can navigate, that's guided through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, that can navigate through that narrow path, that straight way, that difficult path, that can escape those pitfalls. Right? Back in 2nd Ezra, the 7th chapter, it says, verse 6, I'll just read on. It says, verse 6, "There is also another thing, a city is builded and set upon a broad field, and is full of good things. The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left deep water, and one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once." So it's not like there's no hand holding, there's nobody else that's going to lead you through. Just the Spirit leads you through as an individual. Let every man be persuaded in his own mind, and that persuasion will be through the Spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. It says, if this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how should he receive this inheritance? That's the whole matter of fact. I'm gonna jump to verse 12. It says, no, I go to 10 and 11 also. Says, and I said, it is so, Lord. Then said he unto me, even so also is Israel's portion, because for their sakes I made the world, that glorious kingdom that we're supposed to be inheriting. And when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed that now is done, that we have to go through this narrow entrance. Right? It says, then were the entrances of the world made narrow when Adam transgressed. Now you have to walk this tightrope, so to speak, to get into that kingdom of heaven. Because we have to navigate that thin line in a world of negativity or wickedness, with that thin line being righteousness. We have to navigate through that to get to the kingdom of heaven. It says, full of sorrow and travail. They are but few and evil, full of perils and very painful. Right? So we have to go through those things. Those are things that we must go through to get into the kingdom of heaven. Now, what did I have written? That's crazy. See if I could jump back into the order of what I had it written, but whatever, it's all in the Spirit anyway. Yeah, we're gonna go what it says, Revelation chapter 2, verse 10, because basically, just know. Matter of fact, was there another script I wanted before that? Matthew. Yeah, let me see, right. Salakia, hold on 1 second. I can. Yeah. Bear with me 1 second. If I grab a couple and check on something. Yeah. I'm going to go right to Matthew chapter 24 and up to verse 9. No. Yeah, verse 9. I'm going to read it. It says, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Yeah, because the way this thing is lining up and the heat is turning up on us, the men of the Lord are going to start to become squeezed into this small area of attempt to control us, and put us in a situation to where they're going to want us to renounce Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, whether it be for whatever hatred or shame or verily at the end to accept the beast, the mark of the beast. So we have to endure all these things, losing jobs, calling us terrorists and homegrown ISIS and so on and so forth. All these things are coming up against us now. So we have to figure out and set our heart aright when these temptations and these things come before us, right? So let me keep reading. It says, then shall they deliver you up. This is back in Matthew 24:9. It said, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted. We got to go through stuff, losing jobs, losing women. All of that happened before, but it can happen again. We set our mind for the first level, but there's other levels to this thing. This thing keeps rising up, getting worse and worse. As you are adapting to one level, another level turns up on you. As you adapt to this level, another level turns up to you. Until you have your mind completely set to where none of this is gonna bother you. You're willing to suffer to the death for Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and that's what this thing is all about. Then will he give you a crown of life, right? Verse still in 9 said, then shall kill you, even unto death, right? It says, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended and betray one another and shall hate one another. Yeah, that's when you're going to see who's who. Who's the real Akim versus who's the other guy. You know, the guy, the fallout, the betrayer. You know, those that will turn their back on Yahweh Shema Shai and on the brotherhood. You know, who's going to play the role of Judas? You know, all these things have to take place. It took place for Yahweh Shai. It has to take place for us. You know, it happened to the prophets before us. It must happen unto us also. It says, and many false prophets shall rise and deceive many. It says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. You know, all this wonderful brotherhood stuff right now will be all gravy until somebody's pushed to that level. You know, and then their weak spirit or their weak amount of faith or whatever comes into play. You know, or they're not, or just to the fact that they're not chosen, that they were called but not chosen. Then they're going to play the other role. Everybody has a role to play. We're trying to figure out, we're all auditioning for salvation, you know, for the role of the men of 144,000 and 1/3. And some of us is going to make that, some of us not. So that's just what it is, man. You know, you accept the role the Most High cast you as. Verse 13, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. You know, we have to endure all these things to the end, whether it's unto death, whether it's because we went into this, we touched upon this at camp. You know, well, the part we this past week at camp, we touched upon this. But I just want to go a little further in on some of these things. We even hit some of these scriptures. Let me go jump down to verse verse 16. It says, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. That's all of us. At some point we're going to all have to flee. At some point out of our homes to escape American persecution or EU or the Gurkha troop persecution or what, you know, martial law. We may have to flee into a certain place to find food, to find shelter for our families, for ourselves, for the Akim. You know, we may have to do these things. It says, let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. What you got on your back is what you got, man. What you can carry with you out is what you got. You gotta carry light. You can't be shopping cart and full of, you know, whatever you can carry on you is what you're gonna have to be able to move with. But the most important thing that you gotta carry with you is faith. You know? It says, it says, and woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. Yeah, man, if you got a baby in those days, man, a young child, it's going to be tough, man, to keep that baby quiet, to keep that baby satisfied, to keep that baby comfortable, to keep that baby fed. Because a lot of you women don't understand, if you're not eating properly, you can't feed your child. You're not going to produce the food or the milk for your child to eat properly. You know? A lot of people won't be eating in those days. There will be a famine, not only of the word, you know, but a famine of bread is also, you know. And there'll be a famine of word, you know, for a lot of people. And it says, but pray that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. Yeah, man. Especially that winter time, man. Winter is the season of death. You know, so you don't want to get caught up in that winter time. That's that season of death, man. That's not when you want this to come upon you. Because you out on the move in that winter time, man, it's hard to get warm. You got the whole complexity of what could happen to you increases in the winter time. The summertime is bad, but it's not that bad, you know. But in the winter time, a lot of people just don't make it through winters living in homes and houses. You know, and homeless people, the brutal summers here in Vegas are brutal, but the wintertime when they get ice cold here too, man, a lot of homeless don't make it. A lot of homeless families don't make it, you know. Anyway, it says, for then shall be great tribulation We gotta go through great tribulation, right? Let me hit that in the book of Acts. I think I hit it at camp. But like I'm saying, it was just a separate something I want to kind of bring out just to make a point on it, because this is, we touched upon it in the spirit, but this is something serious that a lot of people may not understand, that this part is part of being an Hebrew Israelite. Knowing this part. This is that bitter. We mentioned it. I'm going to read those scriptures on it. But this is that bitter part. You know, when you eat this and you eat this roll, when you take this word upon you. This is the bitter part that comes with it. The persecution, you know, the hard living, the losing everything in your life and nearly everyone in your life. You know, anyway, it says, Acts 14:22, it says, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of heaven, kingdom of the Most High, right? Yeah, through much tribulation. There's no other way in, man. It's the only way in. You know, through that narrow, through the straight gate, through tribulation and anguish, and you know, like the scriptures say, the righteous shall scarcely be saved. I mean, we got to go through some stuff, but we're narrowly going to make it through. But we'll make it through. You know, you have to have faith and believe that. You're going to need to call on the name of Yahweh Shemi Shai at some point within the situations, you know. Yeah, reading on, it says, back in verse 21, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. It's going to be harder and worse than it has ever been. Worse than 70 AD. You know? Even worse than 70 AD, when there was, what's it called when you, cannibalism, famine and cannibalism, people eating their babies and their, you know, for food. People gonna do that again. That's gonna come. We can't eat our children though. We can't eat flesh. It's good. The law tells us not to eat the flesh of a human being, nor the blood. You know, certain types of animals we can't eat. So I mean, we got to go through a lot. We may find a snake, but we can't eat that snake. You know, I don't think we can eat that in the law. But, you know, things like that we can't do. That people gonna be finding and they're gonna be eating. We can't eat that. But we have to have faith that Yahweh Shemi Shai is gonna give it to us, like we brought up. He rained down manna and quail and smote the rock and gave us water through Moses. It can happen again. You got to believe that he is, and a rewarder of them that diligently seek him, you know? Verse 22 said, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. We're going to need them to be shortened, man, to get through day to day, to get to the end of this time, man. Because it's going to be holy hell on us, literally, you know? But the elect shall be saved through it anyway, though. 144,000 and 1/3. The rest of you guys, there's no hope for you. You know? So if there was no hope for me, or just like, you know, either way, I'm going to want to find out whether I got hope or not. You know? But that's my mind state. You know? So I'm trying to do the things of someone that has hope, that has an opportunity to get salvation. Stop this here and just break them up.